Hey there guys, this is Imadot91 and I'm going to be doing a little video on Twinblades, one of my favorite new weapons in the Souls series. Alright, the first question we have to answer in regard to Twinblades is, what exactly is a Twinblade? Twinblades are high offense, low defense weapons with very limited protective capabilities. In my personal opinion, they cannot be used with the shield effectively, and their movesets consist of multiple rapid strikes per attack. They apply buffs very quickly along with status effects, and it's for this reason that I recommend you use one with the weapon. The weapon I will be using in this video is the Dragon Rider Twinblade. It is a very strong split damage Twinblade that scales very well with intelligence and also scales with strength and dexterity. I personally recommend upgrading it down the magic damage infusion path because of its already very strong magic scaling. Although it has rapid strikes like the other Twinblades, I do not recommend upgrading it with bleed or poison because of the already split damage. If you decrease the damage, it can severely cut down on the DPS of this Twinblade, which I think is actually one of its strongest points. As for other Twinblades we have in the same class as the Dragon Rider, we have the Stone Twinblade, the Curved Twinblade, and the Standard Twinblade. The Stone Twinblade scales the best with strength and as such is going to do the most damage. The Standard Twinblade scales moderately with strength and dexterity and doesn't really stand out in any department. And the Curved Twinblade scales the best with dexterity, and thus it's going to do decent damage while also applying status effects very quickly. The Stone Twinblade is a very good weapon for quality builds. It has high strength scaling, which means with the new scaling system it is going to do a lot more damage on a quality build than either the Standard Twinblade or the Curved Twinblade. This new scaling system is that dexterity scales at half the rate as far as weapon damage is concerned compared to other offensive stats. The reason for this though is because of the new bleed and poison bonus stats. When you have a high dexterity stat, it adds to your bleed and poison bonus. This makes the status effects build a lot more quickly, and for a weapon like a Twinblade, that can be devastating. Since the Stone Twinblade does have such high strength scaling, I would definitely recommend you gear it more towards DPS than towards applying status effects. In my personal opinion, this weapon is most effective on high strength builds, or builds that are focused on strength, moderately focused on dex, and have a focus on either miracles or hexes. The reason for this is because this Twinblade does very well with the lightning or dark upgrade paths. In the event though that you're working on a build that does not focus on miracles or hexes, you can most certainly infuse it with poison or bleed. Strength should be your main priority, but you can most definitely put enough dex in to get full effect out of that upgrade path. Next up we have the Standard Twinblade. I'm not going to lie, this weapon is not very good. In my personal opinion, it is completely and totally outclassed by every other type of Twinblade out there, and I don't personally see any reason to use it. It has moderate scaling in both strength and dexterity, and very low base damage. When you do upgrade it towards the poison or bleed path, you are going to be applying status effects very quickly, and that is a good thing, definitely. It's definitely a viable weapon, but you would be better off using a different one because it's just not going to do the damage that the other Twinblades are. Its strength scaling is pretty poor, so it's just not going to hit that DPS threshold that you're going to get from the other Twinblades, even when you do focus on upgrading it down a status effect upgrade path. Next we have the Curved Twinblade. It scales very well with dex, making it a perfect choice for applying status effects. The focus with this weapon shouldn't be the damage. The damage will definitely come and be substantial, especially with its dex scaling, but that just shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be putting poison, putting bleed, pumping dex, and just wailing on people, trying to get them poisoned, trying to make them bleed out as quickly as possible. Alright, the final Twinblade that we have, which I did not mention earlier, is the Red Iron Twinblade. The reason I didn't mention it earlier is because I put it in an entirely different class of weapons. What I call it is a heavy Twinblade, and that's because it has a much slower, much more deliberate moveset. In my personal opinion, this weapon has a lot of the same problems that the standard Twinblade does. It is just entirely outclassed by all of the other Twinblades. It has a C scaling in strength, which is not particularly great. It has no scaling in dexterity whatsoever. Couple that with a high dexterity requirement, and you've got an awkward weapon for strength builds. Its base damage is the same as the Stone Twinblade, yet the Stone Twinblade has much, much better strength scaling. It's not very good for applying status effects because of the slower moveset, and in my personal opinion, it just does not really have a place. Gotta love that good old-fashioned karma.